Welcome to the table. My name is Max, and today I've got some spicy confessions for you. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I just got back from a little vacation that I took with my girls. It was a good time, but I'm ready to be back, and I'm ready to make some confessions to you. Some board game confessions, that is. So I was just thinking as I was driving, I was browsing Facebook or Reddit or whatever it was, and I came upon a thread about some board game confessions. And I was running through my brain, and I was thinking about them, and I was like, man, I have quite a few board game confessions I can make. So we'll see how spicy this gets, and I'd love to hear some of yours down in the comments below. So, assuming my dogs will allow me to continue. Hey, come here. Thank you. All right. So, without further ado, let's make some confessions. See how deep we get here. I don't know where I want to start. I've got them listed down here. You know what? I'm going to start here with one that's pretty big, I think. When I play solo games and when I play cooperative games like Gloomhaven and Kingdom Death Monster and stuff like that, it's not out of the realm of possibility for me to fudge a little bit, a dice roll or a card draw or something. And this doesn't happen every game. This doesn't happen every round. I don't have a 100% win rate or anything like that. I'm not overturning every single scenario in which something bad happens. But if I've played a 2-hour-long session of Kingdom Death Monster and I need a 4 or greater to win and anything less and I lose and I roll a natural 1 or something, I've taken that back and just re-rolled that dice before. Look, I don't know what to tell you. These are confessions. These are not supposed to be good things. These are not supposed to make you feel like I'm the best person in the world. These are confessions. And I'm here to confess that I've fudged a little in my solo and cooperative games. And look, if you have too, I'm not here to scrutinize you, to criticize you, to talk down to you. I think a lot of us probably have, and I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing, right? It's about having fun. If to me, after a 2-hour experience, losing is not going to be fun, then maybe I'll fudge it. In other areas, like in, Cthulhu Death May Die and stuff like that, where the games aren't so long or there's not so much writing on it because they're not necessarily legacy games or campaign-style games, I don't really care to lose. I like co-op and solo games where I don't win. I want to have a 50% or less win ratio in most of these games because otherwise, what's the point? To me, I like that challenge. I like losing, but there are instances and when I'll fudge a little dice roll. All right, next one. Bad art is a near instant turnoff for me. This isn't always the case. This isn't 100% true, but for better or for worse, I will often look past games, no matter how well regarded they are, if they have mediocre to poor art direction. I just am a sucker for components and art quality and just making things look pretty. If I'm going to sit down and play a game, I want it to look good on the table. I want it to attract other people and family and friends who may not be that interested. That's probably the biggest, most key thing to me, is that if a game is pretty, it's far more likely to be intriguing to outsiders, right? Outsiders. It's far more likely to be intriguing to people that aren't necessarily hobby board gamers. They see something that looks gorgeous and they are immediately drawn to it. They see something that looks bland and dry and they just don't care. They're not excited about it. And I feel similarly. I can kind of tie this into 2 other different points. Wow, I really should have gone in order because I'm getting all messed up now. I have little interest in most dry Euro games. That's just not my wheelhouse. I mean, you can look at the shelf behind me. The dry Euro games on my shelf. Hansa Teutonica, still haven't played, but I really want to. Castles of Burgundy, love it. Castles of Tuscany, still haven't played, but I want to. Concordia, Venus, enjoyed it. Not a favorite of mine, but I've only played it a couple of times. And that's it. Maybe a couple more, but I have so little interest in them. For the most part, I will gladly play them. But as far as owning them and giving them a bunch of tries and buying them, that's where my interest wanes. You toss it on the table, you teach me how to play, I would love to give it a go. But Am I going to spend $60 on one to add it to my shelf? Probably not. And that's mostly because the lack of pretty art is both a deterrent to me and a deterrent to people around me. And I just don't think it's going to get played. I like Castles of Burgundy a lot. Probably in my top 15 games of all time. Hasn't been played in a while. I liked Concordia. Hasn't been played ever. I think I played someone else's copy, bought it, and I don't think I've ever played my copy. Tuscany still has been unplayed. Hansa Teutonica still been unplayed. And these games that I want to enjoy just don't see the table. And that's why I think I have little interest in continuing to purchase them and seek them out. There's nothing wrong with them inherently, but for me personally, they just don't see the table. Yeah, see, I'm all messed up now. We'll go to the next thing, though. I'll play whatever the group wants to play. I have preferences, sure, like my preferences of not dry Euros for the most part. But you toss a game on the table, I will be there and I will play it. I do love board games, and I do think that there are better board games than others and board games that I enjoy far more than others. It's 100% true. But so much of why I love board games, and not in its entirety, but so much of why I love it, is just playing and hanging out with friends and having fun. If my wife or my friends told me they wanted to play X game and I didn't really care for that game, I would be happy to play that game because they're wanting to play it. They're asking if we can spend time at the table playing a board game, and that trumps everything for me. Nearly everything for me. I'll be happy to play it. Any kind of game you want. Party game, dry Euro game, Twilight Imperium, dexterity game, crokinole, whatever. I will sit down and play it with you as long as you're going to have fun. That's, to me, one of the most important things. There are games I prefer and games that I love, and games that I really strongly dislike. But to me, I'll still play them if it means the people and the company at the table are having a good time. Next one. I like dice. I don't know if this is even that controversial. I don't even know if this is even a big confession to make. I like dice games. So many people hate dice. They're too random. And I get it. I'm not saying that they're not. But for me personally, I love the tactile feel of rolling some dice, the random chances, the excitement, the sadness. It's all so fun to me. That's not to say my favorite games are dice games, because they aren't that I'm aware of. But I do love me some dice games. Things like Bloodstone, things like Too Many Bones, which I've recently acquired and I'm very much looking forward to dig into, are big hitters for me. And they're just fun to roll a lot of dice and have a good time. I don't think this one's that controversial. I don't think I'm going to get yelled at too much for saying this, but I mean, it is a thing. I like dice. I like to roll them. I like to have fun with them. D20s, whatever they may be. I don't care. Just give me some dice in my hand. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just like too fidgety and I just want to roll some dice. I don't know. Whatever. Next on the list, I've really not played that many games. I mean, just being honest with you, if I look at the BGG Top 100, which I can't because my phone is watching me recording, I've probably played less than 20 of them. Okay, I don't know. I really hate to make an accusation like that without backing it up, but so many of the most favorite games in the world, especially along those lines of those Euros, are stuff that I've never tried. It wasn't until recently that I ever tried a first Reiner Knizia game. I believe I started with Babylonia? Biblios? Biblios is not a Reiner Knizia game. What am I talking about? I don't know what I started with. But now, I've played Babylonia. I've played Quest for El Dorado. I have Equinox. I'm sure he's had more that I just can't think of. My City was my first Reiner Knizia game, I believe. But now I kind of like to try those out. I still haven't tried any of his older stuff, nor do I ever really know that I will. And so many of the older Euros, they get people so excited. The Great Western Trails, the Trois Dice, or Trois, not Trois Dice, but whatever. Those games are some people's absolute favorites. And there are just so many that I've never, ever played. My knowledge in the board game community, in the board game hobby, is so minute. It's so small most of you watching could probably equal or surpass my board game knowledge. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a quiz and compare and fight each other someday. But really, I don't know that many games. There's a lot that I haven't experienced. If you don't know, I've only been in the hobby for, I don't know, 2 years, maybe. I don't know, maybe longer than that, but I haven't really been into the hobby much. I played Gloomhaven and kind of jumped right into Kingdom Death Monster, and before that it was Catan and Munchkin for the most part. So like I kind of dipped my toe in, dove straight in, and then stayed in the deep end for a while before kind of coming back up to the surface and expanding my shelf into what it is today. So really, I'm fairly new to all this, and there's so much left I haven't played. And I hate that on one hand because people will ask me about games, or I'll listen to a podcast or watch videos, and they're talking about these games that I know absolutely nothing about. And that's okay. You don't have to know everything there is to know about board games. I don't. And like I said, you probably know more than me. But it's just a confession that I wanted to make. If you didn't know that, now you know. That there's really not a lot that I know about. So few games. Am I really in the know? Do I really have the testing skills on? Don't test me. I'd fail. Another one. This is big. Buying, researching, and discussing board games is almost just as fun to me as playing the actual board game. And I believe my wife and friends can all attest to this. I love to research games. I love to listen to podcasts. I love to watch reviews. I love to ask people questions. And for better or for worse, I love to buy games. As you've seen it in my older Shelf of Shame videos, there's a lot here that hasn't been played. There's a lot that I've acquired throughout these past few months. I just haven't had the opportunity to sit down and play. Now, of course, some of that is pandemic related, no doubt about that. But so many of them just aren't going to get played. In fact, I am selling currently probably 25 games. I would say a third of those I've never even played. I just don't have much desire to. So I'm getting rid of them. I don't think I'll ever hit the table with them. Maybe if someone introduces them to me, sure. But will I take the time to learn the rules and introduce them to someone else? No, probably not. But I'll still go on the next day and I'll still look up games. I'll still watch reviews and I'll still add them to my cart and begrudgingly press the buy now button and wait weeks until they arrive. Yeah, it's fun, man. I don't know. Okay, I have 2 left, I believe. Most games on my shelf and most games in my collection, I've probably played 5 or less times. Obviously not the case with every game. Gloomhaven, I've played a ton of. Death May Die, I've only owned for like a month and a half, and I've already played it a dozen times. All the party games like Decrypto and Monikers get played a lot. Azul gets played a lot. Sagrada gets played a lot. I don't know. Lots of games see more than 5. But the vast majority of games that I own probably see less than 5 plays. In fact, I would go so far as to say they see less than 2. Okay, not less than 2. Less than 3 plays. Meaning I've probably only played a majority of these games twice, once, or nonce. I mean, King of Tokyo, I've played 1 time. Paranormal Detectives, I've played twice. Curious Cargo, I've not played. Parks, I've played once. Calico, I've played probably more than 5 times. El Dorado, I've played twice. Quacks, I've played more than 5 times. Oh man, my neck hurts. Wingspan, I've probably only played 3 times, 3 or 4 times. Catan, I've played a lot. Clank, I've probably played 5 times or so. Cosmic Encounter, more. Space Base, only twice so far. Irish Gauge, 0. Spirit Island, less than 5. Regardless. Okay, probably more than 5 for Spirit Island. Most of my games don't see the table that often. And maybe that's why I cycle through games. I don't know. Actually, I have a discussion that I want to talk about on something similar to that in the near future. So you can expect another discussion video in the next week about that topic, probably. About that topic. Last confession that I have to make. And frankly, now that I think about it, it's probably not a confession that needs to be made. I think I just scared my dog. I
What was it?
don't play games correctly regularly. If you've watched the channel, you've probably seen a playthrough or two and noticed a mistake or two, and that is the way things go. I would say most times I play a game the first time, I find multiple rules mistakes. And then when I play it the second time, maybe one, hopefully none. But I'm bad at learning rules, and I am bad at playing correctly. I try to learn them and teach them properly. But that's just not always the case. And I think that that's okay for the most part. I think it's very important that you nail the rules down, that you get it right if you're trying to review a game. And I do. If I'm trying to review a game, I will look through and make sure and play it multiple times and watch videos to try and make sure that I'm playing it right. I've actually had that happening with a review that'll be coming to the channel shortly where I played it wrong twice, and it was a big rules mistake. And then I played it again a couple times after, and it definitely improved the game, and I'm glad that I figured that out before I made a review on it. But in general, I think it's okay to play games and not expect to have it 100% perfection, understand the rules like the back of your hand. It's okay. As long as you're having fun, as long as it's agreed upon. If you come into a rules mistake and say, look, let's play it this way, we'll look at it later, that's fine. I do think it's important to know the rules. It's important to play the games as the designers intended, especially if you're trying to rank and review it. That is crucial to that process. But for just playing and enjoying games, just have fun. If you think you know the rules 85% of the way there, just dive in, figure it out as you go, and you'll have a good time. That's what I'm going to do with Too Many Bones. I think I'm 80% of the way there to understanding Too Many Bones, and I'm going to get dueling, and we're going to sit down at the table, and we're going to plunk away at it and give it a go, because I truly think sometimes the best way to learn is just experience. So, these are my confessions. I've poured my heart and soul out to you through this camera lens, through the internet, and I hope that you see how deeply I am scarred by these confessions, and I hope you open yourself up to me in the comments down below. Let me know, what kind of board game confessions do you have? What are you ashamed of or hiding in the board game closet, so you can let us know. As always, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. We will be back in the future with more discussions, top 10s, reviews, and gameplays, and we'll see you next time.